I'm Ryan from Barbell PT and Performance, and today I'm joined by Mary, who's a client of mine that actually just finished up work with me. So, first of all, Mary, thank you for joining me on this little call today. I really appreciate it. Um, can you just kind of give us a little bit of background about like what your training had been like, and then kind of what injury or pain kind of led you to reach out to work with us?
For sure. So I am a professional dancer. I do a lot of work that requires a lot of strength, flexibility, and strength training is a huge part of that to keep muscles and everything like safe and healthy and be able to also perform with like speed and power and all those yeah, really necessary attributes to my sport, my art. I was working out pretty consistently, weight training like 3 to 4 times a week, as well as, you got your weekly rehearsals and shows and all the stress that kind of compounds into that. And during kind of a more intense rehearsal process, I injured my low back doing a deadlift. And I have a very flexible low back that doesn't always necessarily have the strength to back it up. Sometimes I can push it a little too far. And I think in
Mm.
that case, there's, a lot of factors that could have, led to that. But during a specific deadlift, just pushing a little too hard, kind of feeling that popping sensation in the low back. Um, Trying to do the work to, recover and fix it myself. I'm a dancer, I know my body, kind of thinking, well, just like with any like little tweaks and, pains here and there, I'd be able to do it myself. But after about like, I got through the show and then kind of coming through like 6 to 8 months, I ended up re-injuring it. So same deadlift, not even like a max lift, just like a warm-up set, felt the same
Mhm.
kind of popping. So at that point, I knew I got to get a professional in on my team to help kind of figure this out because what I'm doing, even though I thought I was doing it safely, I was missing so many other components to just like, okay, how do I do the deadlift versus like how do I build an overall resilient back, essentially.
Mhm. Yeah, for you, like when you were trying to kind of manage on your own, what do you feel like that like biggest struggle was for you? Was it more so like knowing how to modify and progress your training or like the actual like rehab exercise side of things? Like what were you finding challenging?
I think I working with you show me like so much respect for your work and your craft because I just didn't know what I was doing. I kind of for a while just didn't deadlift. I was like, okay, that movement's just not working for me. My schedule's really busy. I don't have the time to really research, oh, how, what should I be doing? So essentially like just wasn't deadlifting, wasn't, barbell back squatting. Um, and then my season got a little lighter, and I'm like, okay, I would like to reintroduce these things. And I thought I was doing it in a, kind of slow, gradual way. But again, looking at, your program, what you've given me, it's like, oh, there's so much more to like that we can do on the outside of like not just that specific movement pattern that has specifically helped me so much. So definitely missing like all the extra PT exercises that also go into that and just not seeing the full picture of like what does this journey look like to get back to where it was.
Yeah, definitely. I find that when I talk to a lot of like lifters or barbell athletes who say that they like try to modify their training around an injury, it's usually like either just avoid the movements that hurt or like try to go really light and like build up over time because that's it's kind of like the typical advice that you hear from most rehab providers or other coaches when there's like so much more like the tempo or the range of motion, the variation, all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so obviously you dealt with that kind of initial injury with the deadlift. Happened or recurred again when you try to get back into deadlifting. Then the big things that was limiting training wise for you were squatting, deadlifting, most like the lower body kind of compound barbell movements. What other ways did you find that the back injury was affecting either like training, dancing, daily life? Like what other kind of impacts did this have on you?
It just kind of felt achy, like
Mm.
kind of all the time. Like waking up specifically, I felt like decades. older than I should be, and I demand a lot of my back, but I had never been in that position of like, oh my gosh, touching my toes in the morning and like specifically like arching forward. Like I just felt so stiff in the morning, and that was kind of like, all right, I shouldn't, be in this place like that. Like waking up really frustrated every morning
Hmm.
wasn't something I wanted for myself. And just, having to be so careful with every rehearsal of like taking so much time to prepare my back. Just being so aware of like, okay, I don't want to tweak it again or injure it
Hmm.
further. Um, and just yeah, that just kind of day to day of like, okay, this just like doesn't feel great, and eventually throughout the day it would improve. But just like yeah, like since that first injury, just not feeling how I used to feel, and day to day just not being as comfortable, and then also affecting my work as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, as somebody whose work is very physically demanding, you really enjoy training. How did you find this injury like affecting stress, the mental, emotional side of things? Like how did that kind of show up for you?
Well, I ended up talking to a lot of dancers who also had back pain, and some like from the specific injury as well, like sometimes from lifting, and them also kind of trying to fix it themselves and just like really seeing how that doesn't work. And then it
Mhm.
just becomes kind of a chronic thing of like, oh, I am the dancer that has the low back pain. I'm lying on a heating pad. I'm rolling it out on a foam roller. I'm doing all these extra things to try to kind of like put a little band-aid on like a larger problem.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm just so interested in knowing my body more and knowing the athlete part of it, of being a dancer, which I think is sometimes ignored in the industry, where it's you take your class, you do your stretching and the Pilates, but the actual weightlifting component isn't as widespread yet.
Mhm.
So just I don't know, seeing other dancers also experiencing that, and I'm like, I don't want that for myself. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it would kind of be like becoming the stereotypical like lifter who used to bench 315 in high school, but now they have like their bad shoulder and don't bench anymore, like that sort of thing.
100%. And I'm like, sorry, that's just not me. I'm
Mhm.
planning to dance forever. And that's why I take the training and weight training so seriously. It's like I don't want to like in a lot of spaces it's like, oh, mid 30s, you're done. And that's just so crazy to me. Um yeah, I plan to dance forever. So I'm like, I'm doing everything in my power. I'm not even 30 yet. I should not be limited by, an injured sore low back all the time. Like there has to be a solution.
Yeah, 100%. So after like trying to kind of navigate on your own, rehab on your own, was there like one specific like tipping point that led you to be like, I want to get some outside help for this thing right now?
So I did discover you on Instagram. And I will say, like, kind of leading up to different shows and different things where I was like really experiencing this back pain. And I'm like, I need to find at least something to help manage this. And you had a lot of free resources, kind of mobility, different things, just online. And so I had, implemented some of them, like with the band, and that definitely helped. And I think it kind of gave me a little bit of hope that I'm like, okay, like I can just rely on the free stuff. I can, just
Mhm.
like online, and feeling good, but then having it like break down again. I'm like, I need to actually like fix the problem. And that comes from one-on-one coaching and
Mhm.
investing in um your body and your sport. So, it was kind of like, okay, pulling the trigger to like invest in this. And it was like I really had to sit with it. And I'm like, is this the right fit? Is this what I want? Um, but yeah, just seeing your content and other people's testimonials, and also me being a weightlifter, I didn't want to go to someone who wasn't going to help me achieve those specific goals. So
Yeah.
yeah, once it happened again, I was like, no, I can't do this on my own. I really do have to fix the problem.
Yeah, totally. I mean, when you were like kind of sitting with that decision about whether or not to actually like work together, kind of like move forward with that. Um, do you have any like really specific kind of concerns or hesitations, whether it's the fully online nature of working together, or like the non-insurance based thing, anything like that?
Um, Doing PT online was new for me because I'd seen people in person and I was definitely curious how that would translate
Mhm.
over. But also realizing like I'm not a newbie to lifting. I know the techniques. I know you know, my body and like kind of like being able to gauge limitations and you know, I just, from seeing the content online too. And it's like, you can't, you got to be careful. You can't just trust anyone. But I think that was, I'm like, okay, like sometimes you just have to go for it and like kind of trust that feeling of like, no,
Mm.
this feels like the right decision to invest in.
Okay, cool. And then once we did like start working together, what was your kind of like overall experience like? Like, what did you find to be really beneficial or useful in helping you get back to where you are now?
Definitely the accountability.
Mm.
I'm like, I'm investing this. My money is going toward it. I'm not gonna skip and not do my PT exercises. And of course, there were weeks where it's like it looked different and shows and like, okay, I got to ease back because of whatever life was, giving me in that moment. But yeah, it definitely it gave me a lot of direction. And I'm like, okay, someone just like laying out exactly what I need to do. And I think there was a little bit of adjusting from typical what my training looked like before of like, okay, I can kind of get in and out, a little bit quicker versus, oh, there are these, accessory exercises that maybe aren't as fun as like doing a max lift or, like
Hmm.
really quick. It's like, oh, okay, this is a small kind of annoying exercise, and there's a reason why it's kind of like the cliche of like no one does the PT that like they're given.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I need to do this. And it's made all the difference. And now I actually quite enjoy doing that type of work and training in especially the spinal, like different planes of motion that I had never done before, that never been a
Hmm.
part of my training. So now I feel like I'm more like my training going forward can be like cover all my bases in that way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even I was like of the mind for a long time about like not exploring things in my own training, like doing a lot of the isometric core work and all those like typical things, which are like that's just great. Like we had that in your program and all that. But eventually just realizing kind of like how robust and resilient our bodies, including our backs, are, and like if you want to train at like weird positions and weird angles, like you can do it. You just gotta like build up to it over time with a gradual progression, not like overdo things, and it should be good.
For sure. Like there's one video that you have, I think you're holding like a heavy medicine ball and you're like arching like pretty far back. And I'm like, that's what I do on stage. Like I'm arching in these really extreme ways. Why am I not like adding resistance to that? Why
Mhm.
am I not training? Like I only ever train like, solid alignment.
Yeah.
So it just like, yeah, that made a lot of sense to me. I'm like, okay, I need to be doing more of this. And that's probably like the major holes I was missing trying to do it on my own.
Yeah, for sure. And then where have you been able to like get back to with your lifting since we've like worked together, like as far as lifts that you've gotten back to doing, weights that you're hitting, stuff like that?
Yeah. I at least in this, busy season of mine, I'm kind of a little more in maintenance. I'm not pushing quite as hard, but
Mhm.
again, like beyond my injury weight for my deadlift, like finally getting crossed that number, like it was a huge mental, like, oh my gosh, it's like I've made it. I finally made it. Cause I think a lot of it is mental and
Mhm.
believing that, sometimes I would just have to say out loud, like, okay, I am strong, I am capable, I can do this. Like my back is okay. Like I am okay. And seeing like the specific ranges that I should be hitting, like the reps
Mhm.
and, the difficulty, like that was kind of helpful. I'm like, okay, he's giving this to me for a reason. Like I'm gonna be okay. Um, so yeah, that was just so helpful to then like, okay, going into my own, like, I feel comfortable doing my barbell squats and hitting kind of the largest number, like PR, that I can remember. Like I haven't really dedicated time for barbell squats in a while. So that was like, it just like it boosts the confidence so much. And yeah, hitting the training just as hard, and like the ones that do feel really good, like the
Mm,
split squats, like I'm at, I think, 120 right now total. So I'm
it's
like,
awesome.
okay, I've never broken past like 90 in a really long time. And I think
Mm,
just like dedicating time to like strength, like let's just like get really, really strong. And that has helped a lot. Um, and also knowing the exercises that I know that just feel so good. Like I
mm,
love the oblique, like side bends. Like just it's something about like the low back, just it hits it just right. And like, I the past couple of weeks, like the past 3 weekends, I've been doing like 5 hour plus road trips because that's
oof.
summer. I'm just traveling a ton. And I'm like, okay, when I get home, I know exactly what I'm doing. And it helps so much to like, okay, the fluidity of it is back. Like I know what really works for me.
Mm. Yeah, for you, like obviously your schedule kind of goes in these like really busy seasons, and there's like a I guess kind of like a cyclical nature to it. What's kind of like next for you as it comes to like lifting and all that sort of stuff? Like, do you have any goals that you're working towards now, or anything you want to start like pushing in your training more?
I think probably past August, just with I'm part of a dance festival and lots of things going on. So I'm like, okay, we can like let's just keep maintenance for a while. I would love to keep pushing that number, like kind of beyond that. As far as my deadlifts, my squats, now that I'm like, okay, this movement pattern feels really good.
Mm,
Um, I think upper body wise, probably, some pull-ups in my future. It's always been, something that that's been a goal. I just hate training them, but I'm like, okay. I think if the lower body is super strong, I would love the upper body to match that. So
mm,
and I think like other athletic performance goals, and keeping in mind like, okay, what are the less flashy things that are actually going to really serve me?
mm,
Um, and again, trying to also maybe share those a little bit with the people that I'm around and have achy backs and all these things. Like I've definitely shared, some of like the band across your back for the cat and cows. I'm like, hey, try this. Have you tried it? Some weighted side bends? Have these different things. So yeah, it's, I think always chasing bigger numbers is fun, but I think also balancing and not getting lost and forgetting all the things that I've learned is probably some balance there is probably a goal of mine.
yeah, absolutely. Well, you'll have to kind of keep me posted how your training goes. If you get any good like squat or deadlift PRs, or if you get a couple pull-ups or anything like that, definitely let me know.
I will for
Um,
sure, for sure.
I appreciate that.
I will say barbell bench, because that has not really I've just not really done that a whole
Mhm.
lot, because and I'm like, it's a little silly when you have the whole bar and then you're just putting the little 2.5s and then
Yeah,
5 pounds.
yeah.
But I'm like, all right, I just got to embrace it. And I think I'm like, that actually is pretty fun to like try to at least like a like body weight. Essentially, I think I'm like at 70, so I got a ways to go, but yeah, I think that one's definitely on there too. So yeah, I'll keep you posted on any great ones that I
Awesome.
eventually get to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then if there was like another injured lifter or like performance artist or anything like that that you were talking to that was like on the fence about working together or like considering it, like what do you think that you would tell them, Mary?
Well, I've seen like different levels. I've definitely like meant like name dropped you quite a few times. And I'm like, again, with the free resources, sometimes that's a great like initial step
Mm,
into like, here's like what he has to offer. And here's, like his expertise and like his knowledge. And again, I think it's just like I have two dancers in mind that I'm like, I think after a while, it's like you just really can't do it on your own. And there's a reason
mm,
that we, outsource to professionals, and it's um, investing the money, I think, is the hardest like trigger to pull. and people are working artists. It's like sometimes it's like, all right, you got to be mindful and specific of like where you put those funds, but at a certain points, like your body's your tool, it is your career.
Hmm.
You kind of have to make a choice eventually. And I'm so glad that I did. And when I did it, because like just waiting months and months, it's like that compounds, and eventually it's like a year goes by and you're in the same place.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that like the longer you push something like that off, like you're just kind of like delaying the inevitable in most cases. Like if it's been going on for months or years, like it's probably not going to change or like get noticeably better unless there is a change that you implement. And the more time you push off, like the more time you're stuck just constantly worrying about your injury, not being able to like train or perform the way that you want to. And it's often harder to address too, like the longer it does go on.
Yeah, and I know dancers that are missing shows that are no longer a part of their company's
Hmm.
season this year because of that. And to me, that's the worst thing is like not being able to do your job and what you love. So yeah, I would just really encourage people to be like, hey, like I know it is an investment, but we all pour money into stupid things, like and it's like when things really matter. Yeah, I just think that should be a priority.
Definitely. Well, I really appreciate you hopping on this call with me, Mary. It's great catching up, even though we're ending our time together. If you ever need anything, need any advice or any help or anything like that, please don't hesitate to reach out, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, Mary, you have a good one.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.